Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson, and this is just kind of a short little video that I want to do because of some stuff I realized, of some stuff that has happened. It's nothing personal, mind you, it's nothing really important, but it's just something I've learned recently via Twitter, and considering the vlogs I do, I kind of want to discuss it. So you can kind of consider this like a thing of the fandom perspective, another video on the fandom perspectives, and I might even call it that. But honestly, I'm not gonna be. But honestly, you can pretty much just consider it like a little bonus video and so forth. So, excuse me. And like I said, it's just kind of spur of the moment. I just kind of figured it out. I just saw this on Twitter, and I want to talk about it right now while it's still fresh in my mind. So I'm kind of in my pajamas and my fans on, and after this, I'm just gonna hit the hay. So yeah, but anyway. Well, so you're probably wondering what I'm even talking about. Well, one of this video is kind of a minor That's where I'm going to make a kind of a correction to something I wanted to something that was pointed out to me and something that I kind of said in a previous vlog. And with the recent information that I learned, it's something that I do want to talk about. If you're wondering why the things swing, if you're wondering why the backgrounds swing, it's because I sway when I'm making speeches and so forth. But anyway, it kind of involves Butch Hartman and kind of something that involves the villains of the show. I mentioned in a previous video, and it was pointed out to me by one. It was pointed out to me that apparently the ghosts within the ghost zone are were apparently just spirits from another dimension, that their plane of existence is just different from our own, which I bought because it kind of made sense a little, but there were some times where I did kind of scratch my head and didn't exactly buy that for certain spirits, like with Desiree or Cindy Poindexter, who very clearly were alive at one point. Well, recently I've learned that apparently the original intent with all of the villains from Danny Phantom was that they aren't from this other dimension. They were alive. That was the original intent when the show was made, that all of the spirits, all of them, were alive at one point and then died. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of buy that explanation, especially when I actually did look into some of it. Especially, like, recent example being Amber McLean, who from Fanning the Flames last week. Excuse me. I looked her up. Apparently, she actually does have a canon backstory, where she was an unpopular girl apparently, like I mentioned before, how, like, that's also kind of a minor rumination to that episode. Like, I mentioned how part of the plot for that episode was that she kept saying a song that was about her name. Well, I didn't mention the lyrics of that song, like Ember So Warm and Tender. It's something I forgot the lyrics, but apparently the song actually was about her death. Basically, she was just an unpopular girl in school. Someone wound up asking her out one night. They kept saying but when she waited for them, they never came, and so she just went home, and her house burned down while she was inside. Hence why her hair is made of fire. And admittedly, I hear that backstory, and I find that very interesting. Like a really interesting backstory. Even Technus apparently was a real scientist, before he died, and he wound up dying in a lab accident. I find that to be I kind of like that. I kind of find that interesting, and the fact that they were alive once, I think adds some layers to their back. Actually, adds layers to them as villains. So, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. But with that being said, why am I even acknowledging the rumination in the first place? Because this shouldn't affect, like, the plots of episodes, right? Well, I'm also making this to kind of address something else that's been going on while I've been making these vlogs, and I haven't wanted to talk about it for a while because I really have had no idea how to approach this thing, but I really feel like I should, but just with this kind of minor thing, I admit, but I wanted to talk about this, and it involves the creator of this show and Fairly Odd Parents, Butch Hartman. And I know he's made other shows, but those are the ones I grew up with, so those are the ones I'm mentioning. Like, apparently in a recent Q&A, Butch Hartman was the one that mentioned that apparently they were not, that they were actually from another dimension, that they just thought they had another life. And hearing that, and then hearing the canon backstories about all these characters, and I openly think that, yes, I think the original intent makes a lot more sense. And I know it, and it's, I think, and from what it just kind of makes me wonder why he even did this, and it's just kind of an example, and if you ask me, I think it's just kind of an example of a creator kind of losing their spark. And I might just be repeating what I've heard in this regard, but from what I've looked up of Butch Hartman and even of this, and if you don't know about the recent stuff with Butch Hartman, I'll just briefly go over it. Like, Butch Hartman recently has become a bit more kind of mean-spirited towards people who have criticized his work, or has said some controversial and actually rather, well, to put it nicely, bad things that he's actually done his best to try and hide or get rid of, but people are trying not to forget. And even then, and even disregarding all of that, just kind of his creative spark doesn't seem to be what it was when it was before. Like, he's been going back and retconning his stuff to try and kind of fit in with his current belief system and so forth. And it's about, and here's the thing, I'm a Christian too. I believe in a higher power and so forth, but I also believe in good storytelling and creating a mythos. And when it comes to fiction, I'm willing to slide my standards for some things, including especially for supervillains and so forth. I'm willing to let stuff like that just slide. So and as such, kind of hearing the original intent for all the spirits and ghosts that Danny fought, apparently they were living once, but they all died. But they all did die. I kind of like that explanation. I kind of find that, and I do find that interesting. I actually really like that sort of thing. It makes more, and admittedly, I think it makes more sense. As such, but with Butch Hartman trying to retcon it away, I think at this point I kind of want to just voice my own thoughts on this matter, and just honestly, I think just Butch Hartman needs to step. I think Butch Hartman. If you want to know my full opinion on this, I really don't know what to say about it. Just kind of the idea with the retcon, like the idea of trying to go back and change the story to try and fit your beliefs. I don't really want to say it's just conniving, because he is the one that came up with the concept of Danny Phantom, but from what I've seen of him in his videos and so forth, he doesn't seem to really have a full grasp on Danny Phantom and what made it good and everything. It feels like he's trying to just reconnect with the kids and be like that guy who's trying to be cool and so forth, but he doesn't really know how to be it. And while he can be creative in some regards, not all the time, but he can still be creative, the spark that was once there doesn't seem to be there anymore. Or at the very least is replaced by something else. He's willing to disregard continuity in his own storylines to kind of fit into his current beliefs, and as such, it's kind of getting in the way of it doesn't ruin my nostalgia for this stuff, because I still enjoy watching Danny Phantom. That's why I'm doing the vlogs in the first place. But at the same time, I don't really. It just kind of feels a little, and it just doesn't seem right, if you ask me. And I've heard about all the recent and if you want to know my opinions on the whole Oaxis stuff and all that, honestly, I don't really have a viewpoint on that. I never contributed to that, and even then I didn't really care. I wasn't really interested in supporting it. I heard about all the backlash towards it, and I kind of didn't want to get near that. And especially since my vlog is just talking about his show, and honestly, the whole reason I'm even doing this thing was just kind of to do rumination on a previous fact that I thought was true, but in reality was not. That's all I really wanted to do about that. It just kind of, changed into this a little bit, but bottom line, that's really the whole part of this video. Just state of rumination that apparently the ghosts in Danny Phantom were dead from the start, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with. In some regards, I think it's a little weird because apparently Skulker died in a hunting accident, even though his spirit's like this tall. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But bottom line, I think that I was from now on. I'm not gonna really talk about continuity and all that. And on top of that, I'm not really gonna. I don't really. I think this is the only time I want to talk about Butch Hartman when in connection to the show, because while I did enjoy Danny Phantom, and I'll give Butch credit, I will give Butch credence for that, for creating the show still, because he did create the show. A lot more people still worked on it. A lot of people more than. It wasn't him that it wasn't just him that made it good. There were writers, composers, artists, animators, other people that worked on it besides him, and I feel like their work should be rewarded too. And even with all the recent stuff with him and just kind of some general retcons, this is still a show that I grew up with, and I still want to talk about. And especially since what I'm doing kind of is exactly what Butch was criticizing, that you have no right to criticize this unless you make something of it yourself. And I'm a loser who just watches cartoons every Friday and cleans houses, so I don't know if I have a real claim to that, but I'm gonna keep doing it anyway because I still want to go back and see the show. But yeah, I'm getting off topic again. Pretty much the whole point of this was to give my thoughts on that, and mostly just to state the Ruminations. And again, this is probably going to be the only time I do this. If I ever do other Ruminations in the future, it'll be in videos that actually do directly reference it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. This video was a lot longer than I intended it to be, so yeah, that's really all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and again, tune in next week for a proper follow-up for the Phantom perspective. So yeah, see you then.